Hello, and welcome to week 5 of the PDPL. Sorry, I ended up not doing a video for week 4. I ended up being a little bit busy. However, it was a really close set. I ended up being 3 games. I ended up losing because my opponent had some really good protect reads. My prep ended up not lining up well because I expected them to lean hard into tailwind mode, and they ended up going hard trick room, and I did not really have any answer to their hard trick room mode. But despite that, I was able to do a pretty good match. However, no video for it. So this week we are now 2-2, hoping to get to the positive record at the halfway mark of the season. And this week we're playing against Squirly, who is a really good coach that I've played a couple of times before, and they have a really strong team in here. So they have honestly we're probably one of the top 3 teams this season, if I was to guess, with a very powerful rain mode with Basculegion and Pelipper and Ludicolo, all setting up the rain and then benefiting from it. They have Thunderous that has Prankster Rainy Day to reset it up. It also has Prankster Taunt, Prankster Thunderwave, which is really annoying. They also have Registeel, which is incredibly powerful in the rain, and then they have really good Disruption and Mian Shao and Fungus, plus Glamora, which threatens a lot of damage and also has the ability to just set up or poison my entire team with its ability. So really annoying, difficult kind of stuff to deal with. And this is the team I ended up bringing. So the idea with this, start with Rotom. Rotom is very good defensively this week, and we decided to give it the Assault Vest, making it harder for them to kind of deal with. It offensively does great damage into Pelipper, pretty much all their rain mode. It does good damage into Thunderous as well. It does good damage into Gamora, and so the idea with it is just it's pretty good defensively and can threaten pretty well offensively. And we kind of made it pretty bulky this week, and we give the Grass Terror so that it can ignore Fungus, Rage Powder, and Spore, but also helps me take grass moves better if they bring Ludicolo. Also gives me the ability to be neutral to electric moves from Thunderous or something like that. Not super likely to tear it, honestly, but the idea with it is to just be it's a good offensive typing and defensive typing this week. Next up, we have Hydreigon. So we have Hydreigon with the Tropical Berry, so it guarantees survives a move from me and Shao. I'm not positive about whether or not I should have Tailwind or Protect. I was really debating before, but I ended up really not having any time before the match to kind of think about it and change it. The idea with this Hydreigon is we take a close combat from me and Shao. Honestly, the Dragon Dark type is pretty good. This week, it resists both stabs from Basculegion. It resists all the water boosts, and it can't be prankstered, taunted, or thunderwaved, or anything like that because of its dark typing. And its only real concern is Dazzling Gleam from Glamora and Terra Fairy. And so the hope is that if they do have one of those, we can Terra Poison and get rid of that. It also gets rid of our fighting weakness, which obviously, the Tropical Berry is there for that. Next up, we have Alolan Raichu, our first time to bring it. Mainly, I just wanted a Fake Out Mon. I thought it was pretty good. Electroweb has the ability to do a good chunk of damage, especially with this really offensive leading one, and gives me a little bit of speed control. We get Psychic, and then I have Endeavor because I wanted a Endeavor, I think, was really good into the possibility of a Registeel, getting an Endeavor off, bringing it down to 1 HP, and then cleaning up the Registeel seems really helpful. Next up, we have Ogerpon. This Ogerpon is a little bit bulkier to survive some relevant moves like Hurricane from Pelipper. The idea is kind of pairing it next to Cobalion, which is below it, try to get the Sun up because Ivy Cudgel and the Sun does massive damage into their team. And the only things that really resist it are get really hit hard by Woodhammer. I decided I want to get Woodhammer specifically so I can get the one shot on Basculegion. And then we have Stompy Tandra to get the one shot on Glamora because I couldn't kill it without it. And that's the kind of the idea. It's pretty standard set outside of that. Talking about Cobalion, we have Cobalion with Cobra Cloak, so it cannot be faked out by me and Xiao, guaranteed to outspeed me and Xiao. And we have Quick Guard also to deal with like thunder waves, protecting our other mons from getting faked out. And then the main idea and focus of this Cobalion set is to set up Sunny Day to get rid of their rain speed boosts and also to just minimize their water damage. And finally, we have Mimikyu with a choice band. Basically, they have, I think, either one or literally zero ghost resists on their team. And so the idea is choice band Terra goes Mimikyu hopefully can do big jumps of damage. We got Shadow Claw as just consistent damage, Shadow Sneak in the situation of like if it's in a late game to clean up stuff, and then we have Terra Blast just as a consistent higher damaging move than Shadow Claw if we do in fact Terra Ghost, and then finally just play rough to as kind of in the case they have some Dare Dark Mons and just generically it's a good stab move. So that's kind of the set. This is definitely going to be a tough matchup. Like I said, their team is really good and it's a good coach. And let's get into the match. Here we are for game one. So the big thing is they didn't bring Thunderous, which was really nice, which means that I really am encouraged to kind of bring the Cobalion in order to try to set up Sunny Day to get rid of the Sun mode. And then the best partner with Cobalion is Ogre Pond, giving me the attack boost, also giving me a little bit better defensive into the water types. And then I have the grass fire coverage, which is really good into the rest of their team. I think Hydreigon's probably seems like pretty reasonable to bring, and then I decided to go with Rotom. I think these are kind of the only really thoughts I really considered of these ones. And with that, let's get into the game. So my opponent leads the Pelipper and the Glamora, and I lead the Ogerpon and the Cobalion. The play here is obviously going to go for the Sunny Day with the Cobalion. The big question is, do I want to protect or not? I'm really concerned of one of these two mons being Scarf. I should take an attack from it, but if they do, if they don't have Meteor Beam, so I should outspeed it if that is the case. However, if Pelipper goes for like Tailwind with Scarf Tailwind and then goes for the Meteor Beam, I'm really bad shape. But I decided to just go for the Stomping Tantrum because they are Stellar Terror on the Glamora, which means it's a guaranteed kill. And I should outspeed if they aren't Scarf. And if they are Scarf, then they shouldn't be able to kill me. They reveal to be Scarf, which does a big chunk of damage to my Ogerpon. However, luckily for me, it doesn't kill. We get the Sunny Day, getting rid of this, and the Stomping Tantrum goes into the Glamora, killing the Glamora. So not the best play. However, I feel pretty good as long as they, kind of just don't go for anything too exciting. However, they go for a Weather Ball into Cobalion. I definitely, in my prep, didn't really think about this. And I end up losing one mon and getting really low HP at this point. I decided to bring in Rotom because Hydreigon could be really awkward if they bring out me and Xiao. And so I decided to bring out Rotom because it's a little bit better into me and Xiao. And also just getting Electro Webs off early, and it threatens the developer a little bit better. So they end up bringing out their Basculegion. And so here, there's a good chance I'm guaranteed outspeed because they already have their Scarf. So the play is just go for Electro Web into to lower the speed, deal some damage. And the big question is, do I want Ivy Cudgel into the Pelipper switch out, which is really obvious, or possibly try to read a Basculegion Terra and go for the Ivy Cudgel there, or a Woodhammer into that spot. I decided to go for the read into the Pelipper switch out, especially because if they might go for Protect and Basculegion because they're switching out to try to get Rain next turn. They end up going for the Terra instead. I definitely feel like maybe if I ID Cudgel in the spot, it would have been a little bit better. However, I feel like I'm in pretty good shape because I should be able to get a very clean one-hit KO onto the Fungus here and then get a -1 speed and a little bit of damage into the Basculegion. They end up killing my Ogerpon, which is a little bit sad, and they also reveal that they are faster, which is a little bit awkward, which means that even at -2, my Rotom's likely not going to outspeed. However, here we have the 2v2, and we are not in the worst shape. The big question is do I expect them to be Terra Blast on the Basculegion? Because if they are, I'd need to Terra my Hydreigon. If they are not Terra Blast, then keeping not Terraing is optimal. And so I decide to go for the Terra because I'm concerned of the Terra Blast. And the big question is, do I want to set up Tailwind or not? Tailwind is optimal if they click Tailwind on their Pelipper. However, it is bad if they just go for an attacking move with Pelipper. I decided to read that they are going to go for a Tailwind on their own Pelipper. However, like I said, if they end up just going for 2 attacking moves, I'm in pretty bad shape. we end up tearing poison, really hoping that they go for a Terror Blast into this Hydreigon spot. And instead, they go for Last Respects, which is the worst case scenario. And we get a Tailwind off, which is not the worst. We get the Electro Web. Now we're guaranteed outspeed next turn, even if they do set up Tailwind. However, they end up going for Hurricane, killing my Hydreigon. So this turn was really sad because I both incorrectly called the Tailwind and I incorrectly called the Terra. If I didn't Terra or if I didn't Tailwind, I think I easily win this game. But now we're in a really awkward position where we kind of are forced to Electro Web, hope that they don't protect with Pelipper. And they end up not protecting with Pelipper, getting the kill on Pelipper, lowering the speed on Basculegion. However, this is not great shape because I think I take this Last Respects, which I do. However, I just need to hope that Hydro Pump kills in the rain, and I don't think it does. I could theoretically go for a Thunderbolt para, a full para, but I think that's a lower chance of actually maybe a crit on Hydro Pump. And so I decided to just go for the Hydro Pump, especially since I don't know the damage calc. Ends up not killing, gets pretty close, and definitely that seems like the damage difference between if I would have just clicked an attacking move with the Hydreigon. So the game mainly came down to that turn in which I misread twice, in which I teared when I shouldn't have, and I also clicked Tailwind instead of attacking. But it ended up being pretty close. And we also revealed that they're almost certainly Assault Vest on that Basculegion. So with that, let's get to game 2. So here I decided I think I really want to lead Raichu. Raichu is a good way to deal with this Pelipper, helps deal with the Glimmora also, because Glimmora is actually really annoying for me because I actually don't have a way to outspeed it. And so being able to fake it out and then maybe do some damage, I decided to go with the Mimikyu because one, this helps deal if they lead fake out. This also helps deal with a lot of their annoying mons by faking out and doing this. I decided I want to bring Hydreigon again, even though it didn't do great, and then Rotom because it's just kind of really hard for them to deal with. Like I said, in addition, Raichu has a more special attack than Rotom, and based on that damage calc of Pelipper, I think an Electro Web from Raichu should one-shot Pelipper, which is another big thing I'm considering. Here we're just basically deciding between Ogerpon and Rotom, and I decide on the Ogerpon because I think that it might be important at dealing with a handful of their specific mons. And with this, they end up leading the exact same lead into my Raichu Mimikyu. And so here, I really wanted to deal with this Glimmora, and I decide I just want to go for the fake out. We know that they cannot tear out of their weakness, and we also know that it's Scarf, so they can't protect. And I decided to just go for the full damage Terra Ghost Terra Blast. I'm hoping that this fake out plus the Terra Ghost Terra Blast is going to kill the Glimmora. And I feel like I'll be in really good position if I'm able to get the clean kill on that in turn 1. They ended up tearing their Glimmora, which I'm honestly pretty happy with because I did fake it out, meaning that it's not going to be able to do anything particularly useful here. And we tear as well. Like I said, this is hopefully gonna get the kill. That's the entire basis of this play, and we get the fake out. The fake out does no damage, but we're hoping that this Terra boosted Choice Band Terra Blast kills it. We get the hit off, and it just barely misses out on the KO, and I'm in a really awkward position since I completely went 100% into that. In addition to that, I am now lost my my disguise, so I decided I didn't want to switch out because I don't think I really want to take an attack with my Mimikyu. And because I'm Sash, I'm guaranteed to survive with Raichu, and Electro Web has a good chance to kill Pelipper here. And like I said, we switch out to possibly take something like a rock move. They end up switching out, which I'm actually pretty happy with. And we bring in the Hydreigon, and we just hope that this does kill. Like I said, I think it should kill based on the damage calc of the Rotom, and we see it does in fact kill. So I'm pretty happy because Raichu still has its Focus Sash intact, and we have two good offensive threats on their field. The Fungus is a little bit annoying since I don't have a way to tear out of this or deal with this, and I don't think I'm going to be able to kill it without getting like a Psychic into that spot, and which is something I don't particularly want to do. Based on the fact that their partner Pokemon is likely going to be the bigger threat. So they bring out Basculegion, which is outspeeding both my Mons. Here, we can't Terra, so there's not much we can do. The big question is, do an Electro Web and deal some damage to the Basculegion, get some speed, or go for the Psychic and try to kill the Fungus. I decided to go for the Electro Web since we know the Basculegion's Assault Vest, so it can't protect. So it's just some guaranteed damage, and they've already terrored, so they can't get rid of their weakness. And I decided to just go for the max damage and go for the Draco Meteor. The reason I went for the Draco Meteor into the Fungus instead of trying to like kill the Basculegion is in case they go for the Rage Powder. They ended up not going for the Rage Powder, so a Dark Pulse might have been better, but I think it probably would have taken Electro Web plus Dark Pulse. And so I'm pretty fine with this. And Fungus ends up getting pretty low. However, it does get a spore off into my Hydreigon. However, because they've already terrored with the Basculegion, I actually am not threatened by the Basculegion much with the Hydreigon, and so I decided to just keep it in. And I'm going to outspeed here with the Basculegion, probably, and I'm just going to go for the Electro Web. I consider like, trying to switch out, but nothing really takes like an Aqua Jet or a Wave Crash. And so if I don't outspeed, then I'm in pretty awkward shape, even if I do switch out. So I decided to just keep it in, try to get as much damage as we can. They end up switching out Glimora, which is huge if I'm able to get an attack off with Raichu. And I do get the attack off. I do outspeed, and we get the clean kill on Glimora, meaning I feel like we're in amazing shape because now the Basculegion's at -2 speed. They have no longer have Glimora, and I am pretty much kind of in great shape. Because now we can just bring out Ogerpon. Ogerpon can't be Rage Powdered, can't be Spored, and is guaranteed outspeed Basculegion now that Basculegion's at -2 speed. And I can just go for a clean Woodhammer, get the kill on this Basculegion, and this game should be over. So this game definitely went a lot better. I think that the fake out double up ended up being really relevant on turn one, and yeah, and I'm pretty happy with kind of what ended up happening. The game definitely could have been a little bit more difficult, and maybe even would have gone to them if they were able to get a kill on that Raichu before I got the kill on Glimora, if they didn't even switch out that Fungus previously. But now this game is completely locked up. Like I said, it's basically just identifying if it's going to take 1 or 2 turns left. I respect them going for the Pollen Puff if they expected me to maybe try to go for an attack to play around protect on Basculegion, but as I mentioned, I'm pretty much positive that they're Assault Vest on that Basculegion based on the damage calcs from game 1. So we end up getting, Ivy Cudgel off, Hydreigon wakes up, we connect Draco. I don't think I really needed to click Draco, but it doesn't really matter. And we were able to get game 2. So with this, let's get to game 3. So here for game 3, and the big question is do I really see much of a reason to change that lead? And I don't really think so. It seems really like it can be really good into most of their teams. And the big question is basically how do I think they're going to adjust? And it's a little bit tricky. Like maybe they're going to lead me in Chow. Maybe they're going to bring out Reggie Steele. I'm not sure the best way to play around those. I decide that I think Hydreigon is just consistently going to be pretty good into most of their things, and I should probably bring Hydreigon. The big question is do I want to bring Ogerpon, Cobalion, or Rotom as the other option? I like Ogerpon just because I think it does threaten a lot of these Mons offensively, and also is defensively is not terrible into these things. And like I said, Hydreigon I think is pretty good into a lot of these Pokemon. And kind of just running it back and hoping that it goes well. I'm not sure if this was the correct play, but I don't really like Cobalion, and then Rotom just doesn't seem like it does enough offensive damage. So they end up leading the same lead again, and I lead the Raichu Mimikyu. Here, I don't want to do the fake out double up again because that doesn't kill, and I decide I want to go for the Electro Web, which should kill the Pelipper, and then get a Shadow Claw off into the Glimora. So I don't have to waste my Terra on turn 1 like I did the previous game, and this doesn't kill Glimora, but it's going to lower Glimora's speed low enough in which I should be able to outspeed and kill it next turn, and then also this should kill the Pelipper. They go for a Dazzling Gleam, which is really smart, breaking both my Sash and my Disguise. We get the Electro Web off, get a double connect, and it doesn't kill Pelipper. This is terrible. I was 100% hoping and expecting that to kill, but it did not, which puts me in a really bad position because they get Tailwind up. And now, not only do I not outspeed the Glimora, I do not outspeed anything on their team for the entirety of the game. Instead of getting a double knockout on turn 1 like I was hoping, I ended up getting 0 kills, and both my Mons are somewhat threatened. I'm not, because Glimora is locked into Dazzling Gleam, I'm likely not going to die. Like both my Pokemon are likely not going to die, but I'm definitely not in a great shape. That damage calc on that Pelipper ended up being 62.5% chance in my favor. So it, definitely a little bit sad, but I obviously got the kill previously. So I ended up switching in Registeel, and I decided to switch out the Mimikyu into the Ogerpon because I was concerned of their damage. I think I should have just attacked because honestly, a Shadow Claw into Registeel spot would have been really helpful here. And we also see that at -1, I actually outsped Pelipper here with the Raichu. And so I definitely think that that switch out ended up being really awkward because, like I said, a Shadow Claw into this Registeel would have been really helpful, especially with the increased crit chance. But like I said, I think the big reason I switched out is because I wanted Shadow Sneak to kill Glimora in the later game and to help deal with the Basculegion, and I also was concerned that Pelipper was going to outspeed, which it did not. So here, both basically Basculegion threatens to kill both my Mons, and so there's not much I can do other than just kind of keep the Raichu in and hope I can do some stuff. I decided to go for the Endeavor, try to get some good chunk of damage into this Registeel. I'm pretty concerned with the Registeel right now. And the big question is, do I want to Woodhammer into the Basculegion or just go for some damage into the Registeel? I had to decide to go for some damage into the Registeel, which does help with the possibility of them, getting some damage before they get like Amnesia, Iron Defense off. They end up tearing the Basculegion, which is unsurprising. They end up going for a Terra Blast into my Raichu, possibly reading a switch out into the Hydreigon, killing my Raichu. The Ogerpon ends up outspeeding Registeel in the Tailwind, which is relevant. We do okay damage, but they now get up an Iron Defense, and now this is looking really bad for me in the late game. I I definitely have outs with with the increased prance of Ivy Cudgel, and also I do have Earth Power for this with this Hydreigon, which can do a pretty good chunk of damage. So here, the big question is, do I want to Terra or not? I decided to Terra to play around, obviously, Terra Blast and Body Press on the Registeel and go for the Earth Power. Here, the big question is, do I want to go for the Woodhammer or into the Basculegion or a different move? I decided to go for the Woodhammer, hoping that I could possibly get a kill, especially if they go for something like a Wave Crash. We once again Terra, and like I said, hopefully they go for a Terra Blast. That would be the ideal situation. They go for a Wave Crash, which once again, tearing ends up being a little bit awkward. However, I do survive. We get the Woodhammer off, which kills the Basculegion. I feel really good if I can get this Earth Power off into the Registeel. However, I forgot that this was still a Tailwind up, and they're able to kill the Hydreigon and outspeed me. Like I said, if I got that Earth Power off, I actually feel like I'd have been in really good shape. Also, if I would have, had a different Mon, maybe I could have done something more. However, we do have some outs, and I would feel a lot better if, if I, what's it called? If I wasn't going to get poisoned here with this Mimikyu, but being poisoned here with Mimikyu definitely makes it a little bit awkward. Registeel's at +2 defense, so I want to Shadow Sneak and kill Glimora, which I think should kill from this range. However, I feel like I'm forced to go for the Shadow Claw, and I feel like I need them to just go for a rock move into my Registeel or my my Ogerpon with the Glimora to have a chance, because then if we do that, we can then go for the double attack, try to get some crits onto the Ogerpon or onto the Registeel, because Ogerpon and Mimikyu both have high crit moves. We go for that. They go for a Sludge Bomb, which does a pretty good chunk of damage, which honestly wouldn't have been too bad of a damage if I wasn't poisoned here, because they end up going for the Body Press into the Ogerpon. And I honestly feel like I have very clean outs if both my Pokemon were poisoned. However, because both of them are poisoned, I only have like one turn left. And we see that we end up taking exactly 16 damage. If I had 2 more health with the Mimikyu, I feel like this would be in pretty good shape. But there's nothing I can do except hope they don't have Protect. They end up revealing Protect, which means Mimikyu is going to die 2 HP away from getting the chance of being able to win this, which I think only happens if I double crit, but possibly of a single crit, with depending on some of these damage calcs. They also reveal that they are Damp Rock on their Pelipper here, and this poison is definitely really bad situation for me. There's not much I could do about that, and we just need to hope that crit Ivy Cudgel kills. Like I said, they they revealed that they're damp rock, so I'm not going to be able to. The rain's not over, and we just need to hope the crit kills. And we end up getting a pretty good chunk of damage because we do in fact crit. I think a Shadow Claw crit would have killed there with that double up. However, we end up losing the game in a really close situation. Um, there's not much. I think that was a really close set. I think that we honestly win that game if we kill Pelipper on turn one with the Electroweb. I think that was the deciding factor in the match, and there's really not much I think we can do about that. It was a 60-40 roll in my favor. And so I feel like honestly this was a really close match, and I think I played well for the most part. I'm not convinced I made the right decision game one with that tailwind, but other than that, I think I made reasonable plays, and it just my opponent just had a better team, played well, and basically like I had uh, you know, one bad roll that ended up definitely hurting me. But with that, we are now 2-3, and we hoping to do better in the second half of the season. Thank you for watching, and I will see you all next time.